Hey everyone, my name is Mary Ellen. I am here for our monthly lunchtime learning. If this is your first time here, we have these 15-minute webinars the first Thursday of every month. And it's our lunchtime learning, trying to just give a little bit of information and hopefully some relevant topics that you can take into your work day. So today, Happy New Year. We are going to talk about re-engaging the workforce after the holidays. Now, if you're in HR, we are going to talk about how you in HR or leadership can re-engage the workforce. But if you're not, we're also going to talk about how you can be present and excited in the new year for your work. So let's get started. My name is Mary Ellen Dance. I am a licensed mental health counselor, and I am also the director of corporate training here at ENI. If you're interested in any corporate training or have any questions, I will put my email on the last slide so you can feel free to reach out to me at any time. So let's get started. January is a tough month. I'm sure we all know. I don't know where all of you are located, but I live in upstate New York. It is gray and it is cold, and January feels like it's 3 years long usually. And so through the research, back in January of 2023, last year, was not good for the workforce. 11.6% of Americans lost their jobs. So it was not a good month. That is a huge percentage. So that obviously didn't make for a great month last January. But multiple studies have shown that hopefully that percentage is lower, January of 2024. But multiple studies have shown that January is the least productive month, that there are a lot of unplanned absences in January. If you're in a sales-based business, January shows the lowest sales across the board. It's not a great month, which kind of stinks because a lot of the time our fiscal years begin in January. And so, we want to start off the year on the right foot, and it's kind of opposite of that. That's why we're having this webinar. So in 2005, maybe you've heard of this before, maybe you haven't, but Sky Travel, a British travel agency, coined the term Blue Monday in reference to the third Monday of January, stating that this is the most depressing day of the year. I think we all should plan fun things to do the third Monday of January. This year it will be on January 15th. So because of these reasons, that's why we're having this webinar. I don't think any of us want January to be a terrible month. Lots of good things can happen in January. We just have to figure out how. So why is January the worst month? Why? Something called the holiday hangover. The holidays are full of excitement. Maybe you're traveling, maybe you're seeing family. There's a lot of adrenaline, there's busyness, and then everything just kind of stops, right? Everything just stops. It's not really a slow progression. It's December is busy, and then January 2nd, back to work, it stops. And so it's a little bit of a holiday hangover, a little bit of a letdown. If any of you make New Year's resolutions, I highly suggest not to. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but resolutions usually backfire pretty quickly. And then that sets us up for failure. That sets us up for, losing confidence. I mentioned on here, decreased confidence, because maybe we set a New Year's resolution and, we miss the mark by January 4th, and then our confidence is decreased and our motivation is decreased. Again, we'll talk in a few minutes about resolutions specifically. Seasonal depression is huge. Like I mentioned, I live in upstate New York. There's not enough sun, right? Everyone is vitamin D deficient. When it's cold, when you're not leaving your house enough, like seasonal affective disorder is a thing, and it is a big thing. And then lastly, credit card bills. I don't know about all of you, but I spent quite a bit of money in December, and then that hits me in January. So all of these things are kind of hitting at the same time to make January just, ugh. So let's talk for a few minutes about what workplaces can do. Hopefully, your workplace is doing something. I want to let you know if you're in HR, if you're in leadership, and you're here and you're thinking, oh no, we don't have anything planned. That's okay. It's not too late. It's only January 4th. But there's a few big things workplaces can do. And the first thing is that we must acknowledge it. Expecting everyone to come back from the holidays, from time off for a new year, just like rearing and ready to go, is unfortunately not the reality. And if we're expecting that and ignoring that that's not the reality, then that's not going to help anyone. So if we can acknowledge that it's a hard month and this is what we're doing about it, and this is what we can do about it, it can be really, really beneficial. We can also plan ahead. Again, you're not too late. It's only January 4th, but I know a lot of organizations that see a lot of success planning, January to be a self-care month where they, encourage self-care activities or maybe bring some self-care activities in. I see that January is a really, really good month for that. So if we can plan these things ahead of time, if we can let employees know that we plan these things ahead of time so they can have things to look forward to, so they can know that their workplaces are not ignoring this and care about them being happy in January. We don't want to just be accepting the fact that we're miserable for 1 month of the year. The other thing employees and workplaces can do is encourage employees to get daylights. So again, if you live in Florida, good for you. But those of us who live where there's not a lot of daylight in January, encourage employees, if it's sunny at noon, say, hey, go take a 10-minute walk, go get outside, go stand in the sun. If we can encourage that as much as we're able to with our job requirements, that can be huge, 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 huge. Again, even 10 minutes of getting outside in the sun can make a great difference. So if we can encourage that, if we can lead by example, if we can do it ourselves, if we can ask an employee, hey, will you take a 10-minute walk with me? The sun's out. As much as we can encourage that, we want to. We don't want anyone to go to work in the dark and get home in the dark and never see the light, because that's not going to make for a productive or happy employee. We can also promote work-life balance. It is unrealistic to expect people to have excitement of December and time off and then come back and work 90 hours a week. That's unrealistic. As much as we can promote work-life balance, we want to do that. Again, we all work in different types of organizations. We all have different types of requirements. But if we're able to, there's usually, at least where I live, there's usually like 1 or 2 random like sunny 50-degree days. If we're able to tell people to go home an hour early on those days, things like that can make a huge difference, a huge difference. We also want to encourage open communication. Hopefully we're encouraging open communication all the time, but if we're acknowledging that January is a tough month, we can encourage open communication, asking employees about what they need, what would be helpful in the workplace, if there's anything reasonable in the workplace that they, that you could change or update or whatever it may be. Being able to openly communicate about that is huge. Being able to foster an environment where an employee can come to a leader or HR and say, I'm just feeling down. Like I just go to work in the dark and come home in the dark and it's cold and I'm just feeling down. If someone feels comfortable coming to us and saying that, then we can appropriately help them. So we really want to foster the open communication. We also want to recognize previous successes and future plans. Again, a lot of companies, their fiscal year starts in January. But even if your fiscal year doesn't start in January, it's important to recognize, like, these are all the great things we did in 2023. These are all the great things we're going to do in 2024. It's important to set lofty goals, right? We're going to make $1 million in 2024, whatever that may be. It's important to set lofty goals, but it's also important to have smaller things to look forward to too. Smaller, realistic things to look forward to. And so if we can talk about those future plans and get excited about those future plans, that can be really valuable. The last thing that workplaces can do is offer small gestures. Small gestures have huge rewards. I was just talking to a colleague about how he was in a room with bigwigs, people making multiple six figures a year, right? And he offered them a $25 Starbucks gift card and they went wild over it, right? Not because they can't afford that, but because the gesture is so nice. It's exciting. If we're able to bring coffee in one day, if we're able to, buy lunch one day, just like little small things like that. Maybe we can set like a little bit of a competition where whoever wins the competition, healthy competition, gets a gift card. Things like that that don't take up a lot of time. They can honestly make or break things with employees. So hopefully your workplace is doing some of these things. If we're not, hopefully we can start implementing some of these things, or at least just being aware of these things. Now, what can you do? What can you do as a human, as an employee, as whether you're a leader, HR, employee, whoever you are, here are some things that you can do that will be really helpful. The first thing is go outside. We need to go outside. Even if it's not sunny, if we're able to go outside for 10 minutes, like take a 10, 15-minute walk, that fresh air can be really, really helpful. Staying stuck in our house, especially those of us who are working from home and find that, oh my gosh, it's been 4 days and I haven't even left my house. That is not healthy. We want to go outside. We also want to get exercise. That does not mean you have to go to the gym for an hour a day. If you do, great, lovely, wonderful, but take a 10-minute walk. That's it. Take a 20-minute walk. Whatever you can will be really, really helpful. Another huge thing is plan things to look forward to. It's much easier to get through January happily if we have a trip planned in the, upcoming months or getaway planned. It's much easier to get through that. So plan some things we're looking forward to. Drink water, stay hydrated, take vitamin D. Obviously, talk to a healthcare professional about that first, but be aware that a lot of people are vitamin D deficient in the winter time. The other thing is breaking the mundane. So it's really easy to get stuck in routines that are kind of boring. I go to work, I come home, I make dinner, I go to bed, right? We want to break the mundane. Maybe we order out one night. It doesn't have to be anything huge. Maybe we order dinner out one night. Maybe we see friends during the week. Maybe whatever it may be, we just want to break the mundane because that mundane is a recipe for disaster. I want to recognize while I'm talking about the mundane, there's a difference between like having structure and a routine and just being like going through the motions. Having a structure and routine can be very beneficial. Going through the motions, nothing changing, never having any excitement, right? That can be really dangerous. And then I said I was going to get back to it. We want to avoid unrealistic New Year's resolutions. So if you have never gone to the gym before and your New Year's resolution is that you want to go to the gym 5 days a week, that is very unrealistic. That is very unrealistic. Setting goals for ourselves is a wonderful thing to do. Having patience with ourselves, having kindness to ourselves and compassion is huge. What I see often with New Year's resolutions is that if somebody will make, I'm going to use the gym resolution just because it's an easy, clear-cut example. Somebody will make a resolution that says, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week. And then the first week they only go 3 times. And then they're like, oh, I'm a failure. That's not a failure. You went to the gym 3 times that week. That's amazing. So making sure that our resolutions aren't so strict and tight that we're setting ourselves up for failure. We want to set ourselves up for success. We want to set ourselves up for success. And if you went to the gym 3 times, that's more than I went to the gym. That's incredible. So we really, really want to be careful about that. I always encourage people to set New Year's intentions that, I want to be healthier and maybe I can be healthier by doing A, B, C, and D, and E, but that doesn't necessarily mean that if I don't do this or don't do one of these things or, switch one of these things, that I'm going to be a failure. So if we can start to look at that a little bit differently and be a little bit kinder to ourselves, that can be really, really valuable. Again, My name is Mary Ellen. We will have these lunchtime learnings the first Thursday of every month at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully this is helpful. I know that this first week back to work can be really, really tough. So hopefully this got us thinking about some things that we can do or that we can do in our workplaces that might help us. Again, I'm the director of corporate training. So if you have any questions, please send me an email, mdance@eniweb.com, and I'd be happy to answer any of those questions. And thank you so, so much for showing up today. And I hope that everyone can get a little sunshine, break the mundane, and have a great January.